Welcome to Equipped for Ministry, presented by Big Woods Bible Church. Our hope is to equip the saints for the work of ministry by talking through common questions Christians ask. We hope you find this discussion to be helpful in the ministry God has called you to. But now, let's get equipped for ministry. Hello and welcome to another episode of the Shoulder Squad. Equipped for Ministry. I'm here with Robbie and Stuart again, and we have decided to spend some time just discussing how it is that we were equipped for ministry. So now, obviously, all of us are in some capacity in vocational ministry, but there's a path that has led to this, and we're more concerned about what took place before we got into vocational ministry and how we were participating and being equipped in the work of ministry prior to getting paid to do it. So who wants to go first? Did we decide that?
No, I don't think we did.
Okay.
You want to start? How about
All right. So I guess I took an interesting path because I, in college, had started as a health science pre-PA major, and that was because I did not want to, quote unquote, go into ministry. I wanted, the American dream, and wanted to have a big house and a nice car. You know what my dream car was for a while? No. It was a Lexus IS 300 after the 1967 Shelby GT 500, of course. But my daily driver was going to be the Lexus, and so I was on that path, and I was going to be a physician assistant to, make as much money as I could. And it was college where I think this whole idea of being equipped for ministry and having a different mindset about life really, really clicked. And so you've heard me talk about my campus minister, Jason Ritz, before, and it was his influence in my life which took me to the level of saying, I need to pour into the church and need to be connected, need to be involved, need to be discipling. And so I would, if I had to boil my story down into one word, it would actually be discipleship, which makes sense as to why I'm the associate pastor of discipleship, I guess, hopefully. But what God did through those discipleship relationships was show me that he has given me, certain gifts and abilities to be able to then go and pour into others to help them follow Jesus faithfully. And so that, were I not getting paid to do it, I would like to think, hopefully, that I would be doing a lot of the same things, which is, having a growing relationship with the Lord Jesus myself, and then saying to people around me, hey, let's do this together. And something that I think would be simple to do is just inviting people into my life and saying, look, this is how I do it in this situation, and you can do it too. And just the process of being equipped for ministry started with a one-on-one relationship with Jason, where he would just simply ask me questions. And I would say, you know what, this is what I believe. And he would say, why? I was like, I don't know, man.
Yeah.
Like, my parents believe this. And actually, I think I was wrong about a lot of that too. But I was taught, this is what you believe if you're a Christian. That's all the further it ever really got, until Jason said, why? And made me search the scriptures to prove what I believe and why I believe it. And that I think was the single most important thing in my life for being equipped for ministry. You guys have any similar experiences, questions, or anything about that?
I didn't know Jason well. He was a little bit before my time here. But did he also, along with sort of like the intellectual challenging and questioning, say, hey, you know what? I'm going to give you a little push. I want you to lead this Bible study, or I want you to take charge of this, or you're just not comfortable going out and doing evangelism on campus? Yeah. Nope, I'm taking you with me. Or we're going and doing this. Did he challenge you? Nope, step out your comfort zone.
You used the word push. Sometimes it was more like a kick in the pants. And so whether he was in front of me, sometimes dragging me with him, or behind me saying, no, you can do this, absolutely he did. And I think in all of the situations that you just brought up, and so specifically, I remember the first college student when I was a college student that I discipled, and I was like, man, I can't do this, and he was like, sure you can. I was like, well, how do you know? He's like, well, have you been following Jesus? I was like, well, yeah. Like, do you have the Holy Spirit? Well, yeah. Do you have the Bible? Yeah. What more do you need? And I was just like, all right, so I guess I'll text him, and and so it was just like just removing the excuses that I had to say, like, okay, this is something I can do. It's something I should be doing. And just he was able to say, look, we've been doing this together for months. Just go do this with someone else. And that was crucial. Yeah. That's good. So then, how about you guys?
Mine at least has some similarities to you. So, for those of you who don't know, I came to Lock Haven as an atheist. I was a pre-med major. My plan was finish school up here, go on, and I was very academically and professionally focused. So I want to be that doctor in the hospital that you went to in the future.
Yeah.
There were some arrogance there, certainly.
Sure.
As you well know, as you met me.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah. I was one of the first students he got stuck with in his first year, I think, running the college ministry.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I guess trial by fire putting up with me.
Oh, yeah.
But what would happen is I would come to Christ a little over a year after interacting with Aaron and the New Life Ministry. And even though intellectually I had a lot of knowledge about Christianity, oddly enough, how do I follow Christ, though, in my day-to-day? So after looking around and asking around, I was eventually discipled by Bill Newman, who's actually one of our elders now as well. And he challenged me on how am I living? How am I pursuing God in not just in my head, but in the way that I live life, the way that I fight sin, the way that I pursue Him, not just in my mind, but in my heart.
Yeah.
And challenged me that way. And we were together, I'm trying to think how long it was. It would have been about like 7-8 months. I think me being discipled by him on like an every 2-week basis kind of a thing. And he remembers this differently. At least he'll say this.
Yeah.
But I remember him being like, well, I think you got to get involved in ministry somewhere. I'm like, all right, like I'll I don't know, greeting at the door or something. He's like, no, I want you in like doing like something else. I'm like, what do you mean? He's like college or youth? I'm like, I don't know. Okay. I don't know if that's a good fit. I don't know if I should be there. He's like, I think you should. Yeah. So yeah, let's do it. So eventually I joined the youth ministry as a 6th grade small group leader. And I was there for a month before being sent off on military duty for the summer. Came back, and during that time, our previous youth pastor had moved back home to be closer to family. And what would happen is we had some other individuals stepped up. Fran and Mary Lou Johnson ran the youth group for a while and did a wonderful job. And it came to the end of their commitment that they said they could do. And I sent an email to Tim and the office manager and said, hey, if you need someone to run the youth group for a week, I can do it. Like, I don't know what I'm going to teach or anything, but we can play games. And me and Tim met. He's like, okay, we'll give it to you for like, I think it was 2 weeks. We have a new hire. Right. He's going to be hired real shortly. And well, they didn't hire him, and they didn't hire the next guy. They didn't hire the guy after that. So I ended up running the youth group for 9 months as a volunteer, and I didn't know exactly what I was doing. I mean, I certainly had that. The elders weren't like giving me free reign, and I mean, they certainly had insight. And I was talking with Tim, and I think I was sending my notes to you that I was teaching on. But a lot of it was learning on the go, and discipleship was definitely a part of my story. But being equipped for ministry was partially learning ministry where I'm at. Like I think ministry is not like being a doctor. It's like being an electrician.
Okay. Tell me more. Yeah, I'll hear you out.
So medical school, like you go to undergraduate, and then you go to, this is where I was going, so I know this well. Like you go to undergrad, then you go to medical school, and you go to medical school for 4 years, and you learn all this stuff in the classroom. And then you have 4 years in hospital during your residency, and eventually after like 12 years of training where you're sort of being constantly supervised, a lot of it more intellectual, academic, you eventually like do ministry. You eventually do medicine.
Yeah.
That's not ministry. Ministry is like being a apprentice to an electrician.
Okay.
They bring you along and, okay, certainly you're probably not going to rewire a house on your very first day as an electrician.
I hope not.
But second day. Hopefully not my house.
Speaking from experience.
Yeah.
No.
But like, you pick up things as you go. Like, okay, you know how to do this? Okay, go and do it. Like, it's learning on the job, learning as you're doing it. I mean, certainly learning alongside someone often who can help and assist you. Yeah. My first 2-3 years doing youth here, and for part of this was volunteer, and also for part of it, I was paid part-time for a year, during which I said, oh, by the way, I'm not staying. Like, I was paid part-time just because they needed a youth pastor for a year. Yep. And I flat out told them when they offered me the job, they offered it more out of kindness. I was working like 4 part-time jobs to pay for school plus volunteering on top of it. It's like, if we pay you, can you drop a job or two? I'm like, yes, that would be wonderful. Which is wonderful at that point, because I think I was getting prepared to be married as well. So time was precious, but even during that 1 year, I was saying, by the way, guys, I'm gone in May. I'm heading off to med school. I had taken the MCATs. I was getting letters, getting sent to and from, taking GREs for PA school if I changed my mind, like all these different things. And during all this time, though, even when I'm not staying in ministry at all, at least vocationally, I was being equipped because I'm learning and I'm growing, and it didn't necessarily go well. It wasn't a home run right off the bat. One of my former students came up to me when she was leaving for college, and if she listens to this, I don't take any offense to this.
You know who you are.
But she's like, Stuart, I just want you to know you have improved so much teaching-wise since I've been here. Now, that's not really saying much because I was just so low on the teaching. Like, I went to school for biology. Like, I knew how to work in a lab. I had no idea how to teach. So I learned on the job, in a sense, while doing ministry. And people like Tim. I invited Pastor Tim many times. Hey, come sit, listen to me, and take notes. What can I do better? What should I not do again? My wife is a very gifted teacher. At that point, being my girlfriend and fiance, she was very willing to give me feedback of like, don't do that again. She was very kind, but it was very much needed. So a lot of my being equipped for ministry is partially discipleship, but partially, man, get your hands in there and do it. And you will learn a lot. And also, while you're learning, while you're doing it, is if they're not people automatically alongside you, grab a few and say, hey, I want to learn how to do this better. Come alongside with me and help me with this.
I think that's really helpful. And there's even the common theme, I think, of someone in your life and who was in my life who pushed. Maybe we'll hear more from Robbie about that. But just the idea of the on-the-job training sort of thing. If you could speak to whoever's watching and whatever area of ministry they might be involved with or might not be involved with, someone who's looking to get into to pouring into the lives of other people, how would you tell them to go about looking for that on-the-job training?
I would say where are their needs? Because, I mean, if you come up and you say, hey, I want to get involved in ministry in the church, where can I be involved? We'll find you a place. I can guarantee you. And so much, like right now, I'm thinking of like children and youth ministry.
That's right.
I mean, that's my field, so that's where my mind's always at. But like in children's ministry, we have teachers and helpers in every single Sunday school. Our teachers are teaching, our helpers are assisting them. But the idea is, okay, if you're the helper in that classroom, you're learning how to teach along the way.
That's right.
And you have opportunities to step up and, hey, this teacher has to call in sick. Well, guess what, helper? Here's your chance. Let's go. And it's not okay, we're going to throw you in there and you don't know what you're doing. And nope, we're throwing you to the wolves. You're on your own. We have ministry coordinators and myself and others who are more than willing to come alongside you and help you in this. When it comes down to youth ministry, we have small group leaders who meet and talk with students each and every week. Well, as many of my small group leaders have realized, like, I'm also thinking, hey, how can I have you teaching the group at some point? And many of them have, or at least it's like, hey, I really want you to at least give this a shot. Because I see you interacting on a small group level is teaching on a big group level something that you have a passion for and you have an interest in. And also, it's okay to make mistakes.
Fail forward.
Yeah. Like if you're trying and it doesn't work, no one started out being perfect at anything. Right. Whether we're looking at teaching or sports or anything, you are going, if you're trying to improve, if you're trying to do something new, you're going to make errors. You're going to make mistakes. Right. The lesson isn't going to quite sound as eloquent as you hoped, or the students aren't going to stand quite as much as you thought they would, or the analogy won't make as much sense to everyone as you thought it would. But you continue striving to improve in that as well. While keeping in mind the most important thing is, okay, what are we teaching? What are we basing our teaching on the Bible, and on God's truth, and moving forward with that?
That's right. Yeah, it's helpful, and appreciate the story. So we've saved the best for last, right?
I don't know about that.
And so, Robbie, you obviously have some similar things there, but how about you? How have you been equipped for ministry?
Yeah, a few similarities. I did not go to college for ministry. I went to college. Did, right? Yeah. I went to college for computer science because I could solve problems using technology, and I didn't have to interact with people. Those were my top two reasons for choosing computer science. I really loved problem solving, and I could deal with machines and not people. So I was involved with InterVarsity Christian Fellowship my first 2 years in college, and switched over to FCA, Fellowship of Christian Athletes, for my last 2 years. And it came as a surprise to everyone when I said, hey, I'll volunteer to be a greeter for FCA, because they were like, you have to actually talk to people, right? Like you can't just stand there. Yeah. Like you actually have to talk to me. I was like, I know, but I feel like that's something the Lord's trying to push me into. Yeah. So it was much more I did have guys come alongside of me and mentor me. I'm very grateful to my pastor from back home, who I've known for 12, 13 years now. And he's really been a staple in my life of just talking through things. Like if I have questions, I go to him and we can talk through things. But in terms of actually doing ministry alongside someone, FCA was run by a guy who was full-time with FCA, which means he was like never there. Full-time with FCA typically means you're doing support raising. So he had a full-time job at a Chick-fil-A an hour and a half from where our school was. So there were often days we started at 9 p.m. on Wednesdays. At 9:05, we'd get a text from him, hey, I'm not going to make it tonight. And so we have 5 students scrambling together, trying to find, all right, we need a message. We have a game. We have an intro. We have announcements, but we need a message and somebody to do that. So there were oftentimes myself or 2 or 3 other guys would kind of just step up and be like, all right, this is what we're doing tonight, and kind of going with it. Right. So it was very much pushed into those uncomfortable situations, not necessarily because someone wanted us to grow, but that's how the Lord used it. Sure. So yeah, it was a really good time of just learning, anything is better than nothing. We can all sit there and play a game for an hour and a half, but that's not why we're there. We're there to grow in our faith. And, we start with a game. I'm sure as Stuart can attest to with youth, like it's good to get the students involved, but then there needs to be something purposeful. Otherwise, why did I come here for an hour and a half just to play 1 or 2 games? So that has been kind of what that looked like. And even my senior year, I started leading a Bible study with 3 freshman baseball players. And I had absolutely no idea what I was doing. 2 of them grew up Catholic. 1 of them was unchurched. And I started in the book of Galatians. Let's talk about the law. No, you start with Jesus, start with the gospel. And
if it makes you feel any better, my very first youth lesson was on suffering. So I think you did a better job of picking a first-time topic than me ever.
Were you trying to be prophetic, or what they were going to experience over the years?
No.
Okay. Yeah.
Tim looked over the lesson and he's like, you have a lot of Bible verses. That's good. Yeah. I think maybe some more video elements from now on would be better. And Tim hates videos.
Yeah, that's saying a lot if he's recommending
it is. So I've improved a lot.
Yeah,
amen.
That's good.
Praise the Lord.
Yeah. But yeah, so it was, a difficult experience, very much trial by fire. And like you had said about, it's okay to fail. Like failing is how we grow. And I've learned that a lot through the years of the more times you do something that doesn't 100% work out like you wanted it to, it's okay. And oftentimes it's even better because the Lord's actually using it in ways you hadn't even thought of. So it's been really cool to kind of see that looking back through my journey. But it wasn't until I was actually in a ministerial role. I took an internship position down in South Carolina where I was doing college ministry. That was like the first time I had a one-on-one asking the why questions. Why do you believe this? Let's actually teach something together. You've observed me do it. Now you go and do it. Again, my pastor from back home, he would have given me those opportunities, but being 45 minutes away, having full-time schooling plus baseball and everything else on my plate, it was like, you're not like here. So I had the opportunity to lead a youth gathering, I guess, teach at a youth gathering. And that went pretty poorly. Just how it goes first time. And from there, though, it's really been cool to see how the Lord has grown me and grown those who are helping me grow. And that's been really good too. So
I guess, again, I'm hearing a common theme. So maybe it wasn't a specific person who was pushing you, but it was circumstantial,
right?
Where there's this need, which you even talked about.
It's not a let's wait and stick a toe in the shallow end. Let's dive in almost.
And so that causes me to ask the question, like, what is it about difficulty? And I'm thinking, like, so within a body of believers, there's a need, and it's not being met, and you, whoever you may be, decide to enter into that need just completely unprepared, ill-equipped, whatever it may be. What is it about that difficulty that you might face in doing that? Because I think we've all experienced that in our equipping process. What is it about that difficulty that causes us to be able to move forward? Does that make sense?
Yeah. I think for me, it's very humbling seeing I have no idea what I'm doing.
Yeah.
But I know the one who knows everything.
That's right.
So it's almost this like greater dependence on the Lord as you're showing the other person how to greater depend on the Lord.
That's right.
And you get to grow together through that. And those experiences, and I don't know about you guys, but those are experiences, you go through that with somebody, you are now lifelong buds or something to that experience, to that extent. You have that deep connection because you grew through difficulty together. You didn't help the other person grow through their difficulty. You had to grow with them. I think that was the biggest thing for me, because I would talk to people and be like, hey, I don't know how to teach a Bible study. Can you help me? And they're like, well, I'm really busy, or I can hear some pointers, or here's a book, like read that. And that's been super helpful. But even having conversations more in depth with people, it's just like, you just talk how the Spirit leads. Say the things that the Lord prompts you to say, do the things the Lord prompts you to do. If there truly is a need, just being in that space oftentimes is helpful. It's that humbling experience, really. I don't know what the heck I'm doing, but God does. Let's go ask him, you know.
Anything to add to that? Because I'll be honest, that was exactly the answer I was looking for. But go on.
Well, I just think people get nervous about the unknown.
Yeah.
Whether it's the unknown of like, okay, what does it mean to like lead a Bible study? Like, I've seen them, I've been a part of them, but I've never run one. Like, what if something goes bad? Or the unknown of whatever we face, people are always nervous about. And we also live in a very performative society. Like, okay, you're supposed to like do well. Like, we have so much of a focus on like looking good, whether it's Instagram or Facebook or everything we see on TV is very polished. Like, that's the assumption. Like, okay, if I'm going to step up and just lead this one night of Bible study, it's got to be perfect. And it doesn't.
No.
God works through imperfect people.
Yeah.
God, if God can speak through a donkey in the Old Testament, He can use any of us.
Yeah. Yes. That's very true. I've heard that quote go a different way, but I just think I think what you're both saying is entirely accurate. Where it's not us, and just if there's the need in front of us. Just being able to, I think it's David Platt who says, to place your blank check on the table, and to say, all right, God, I'm presenting my life. Do what you will with it, and I think we've all had that experience of saying, I don't know what's coming. Yeah. So one of the questions I get a lot when I'm encouraging someone to disciple another believer, they'll say, well, what if they ask me a question that I can't answer? And I'm like, well, all right, let me remove that fear for you, because it's not what if. Like they're going to.
Oh, they will.
Yeah. And sure. and it's like, okay.
How many years of like theology education do we have at this table?
Yeah.
And how many of us have gotten a question in the last month that we were like, can you give me a week to go look that up, and research it a bit for you? And I think that's a perfectly acceptable answer.
Absolutely.
And I think people very much respect you when you do give the, I don't know. Let me check it out for you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And like that process is going to be enriching for your soul, because you're going to say to them, I don't know the answer. But can I ask somebody else who might know it, or can we spend time in prayer about this? And you're going to grow through that. Mm-hmm. And I think that's part of the benefit of discipleship. So, it's going to happen, and it's going to require you to rely on the Lord in ways that maybe you've not done before. Mm-hmm. But that's kind of the point.
Yeah. And as well, even moving away from the intellectual questions, when someone has something difficult going on in life and they go to the person they're discipling, hey, what do I do about this? The answer and the words that you give are, I would argue, often very secondary to just the fact that you're willing to go through it with them. Yeah. Like the fact that, you know what? Yeah, I'm going to drop stuff and get together with you tonight. Mm-hmm. And we'll sit and talk, and I don't know what to do either. Yeah. I'm going to sit and pray, and we're going to cry together about this, or whatever it may be. Having someone who's willing to go through that with you,
that's right,
is so much more important than having the right words in the right time, because so often there are not right words to say.
That's right.
So I think with some of that fear of the discipleship, I don't know if I can disciple someone. What if they ask a hard question or something hard happens? Mm-hmm. Well, guess what? You're going to get both those things. And it's not so much about what you say in those situations, or you don't have to have the right answer at the intellectual questions right off the bat. Yeah. Are you just willing to be there for them?
Yeah. So here's what I'm thinking right now, because I think we're going a little bit long here. Mm-hmm. Can we put a pause on this and maybe go to a part 2?
Yeah.
And so I think we've said some helpful things. Hopefully you can be the judge of that. But what I want to ask next is not just how we've been equipped for ministry, but how we have taken the step to then pour into others. So more focusing on the discipleship aspect. Yeah. So could we move into a part 2 for that?
Yeah.
All right. So I just want to thank you for checking in. You'll see this in a 2-part series now, and the second one will come out in 2 weeks from when you're watching this. But again, thanks for listening, and we hope that this has helped you to be equipped for ministry.